the question I get asked all the time, which metaverse should we enter? Which metaverse should we start with? Experimentation is the key word right now. How do you identify where your audience is at? Do you go to Times Square, buy the most expensive building and build a major flagship store there? Or you do pop-up all over the world, see what resonates the best with your audience, and then you start building something bigger there. I'm like, you need to be in all the metaverse that are out there. And the way to do it is not by buying land and building and making crazy things. Do a pop-up. So that's my recommendation, right? You don't start from the biggest thing you can do. You start from testing, refining, and make it clear, be transparent. What I really like about what Gucci is doing is that they're testing loads of different things at the same time. And they are, we are now taking cryptocurrencies. Now we drop an NFT collection. Now we did a collaboration with a project that's from the space. Now we did Roblox as a gaming activity. Now, we'll be doing digitals. Now we're going to be part of a DAO. Like, they are trying out and trying to figure out where their audience is, where they fit, and all of it. And that's cool. There is this trend of now metaverse, and everybody's dashing and running to build better experience on how we connect as humans digitally. And that's what's exciting. It's going to bring everything to the same place or to different platforms, right? You're going to have gaming, you're going to have entertainment, you're going to have, work, you're going to have social hubs, you're going to have a lot of different things within it.
Part of the issue with NFTs for the broader populace is the name right away is like, what? The initials, then when you're like, oh, but it stands for non-fungible token. Like, what?
But it's in the blockchain.
In charge of right.
What the fuck is the blockchain? I don't know.
And then you have to mint it. Who's in charge of the branding for Web3? Fire them. Fire them.
You know who's in charge of the branding of NFT?
Ooh.
The IT department. And that's the problem. They're selling the technology because they build for themselves. This space is built by technologists, people like Vitalik. It makes sense to them because they're giga brains. They get it. But the rest of the world isn't ready for it. I spend 90% of my time creating content on LinkedIn to help people to understand. I translate the madness from NFT Twitter and crypto Twitter in a manner that people can feel welcome, can feel safe, and can enjoy the conversation. And we create a safe space for it. Because that's the only way we're going to go to mass adoption. We need to shift the mindset. Web3, in my perspective, it stands for win-win-win. That's what it is. How can we create valuable situations and perspectives where everybody involved wins? That being the community, that being the creator, that being the brand. Everybody should have a stake. And that's what's interesting about this new technology, because it enables us to do it on chain. We have smart contracts that can help us doing so. Redistributing, royalties, distributing revenue, co-creation through DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations where people can vote and decide together the future of things. So we need to get those concepts, which obviously is what this stands for, and translate in a manner that whoever is sitting on the brands, whoever is sitting in the companies can understand and see what is the opportunity is there for them. For me, Web3, the most important thing of Web3 is the mindset shift. We're going through a mindset shift right now that if Web3 doesn't work and Web4 doesn't work and Web5 doesn't work because of technical constraints, the mindset is going to remain. And that's what we need to keep working on. Because, when I talk with the big brands, the first thing when they're thinking about an artist, they're telling me is like, oh, but it's important that the artist is getting, a revenue share on the primary sale of the NFT, but also that we have on the smart contract, a recurring revenue share and royalty for the artist. So he or she or whoever is being rewarded for the work they've done. That's a mindset shift. 5 years ago, they'll be talking, just get the agency to choose some artists there that they can do some work. We can pay a flat fee and call it a day. And that's what's exciting. The brand's already thinking that way. They're thinking about co-creation. They're thinking about collaboration. They're thinking about new models. And that's the mindset shift. Doesn't matter if it's Web3, Web4, Web5, Web6. The mindset shift is really important.
You bring to the conversation a different perspective. Everyone else wants to understand and make sense for their strategy. They have to make sense of it now.
What's happening now is a fundamental shift in culture and technology. And when culture and technology get together is when Renaissance starts. So if you look at the past, you had the revolution of print. It was exactly the same. It's a new technology that enables us to touch into culture, that enables us to connect, that enables us to tell stories in a manner that wasn't possible before. And look what happened. TV was the same. Radio was the same. And then the internet came about, and then that changed everything, because then we had e-commerce, then we had social media. And what's happening right now, which again is a combination of culture and technology. We're seeing blockchain, NFT, and metaverse. Simply put, those are new technologies, but the difference and why this is going to impact the life of everyone is because it's connected with culture. Blockchain per se is just technology, right? Like I don't care about electricity. I love the fact that I can press a button and the light goes up, and that brings a benefit to my life. So talking about blockchain and being so deep into technology isn't sexy or isn't enough to bring everyone on board and understand what's happening. And that's why NFTs is so exciting for me, because they make it cool. It can be art. I often say that NFTs are the Trojan horse for mass adoption of blockchain technology, because it almost makes it fun, it exciting. It gives me motive on why I want to be involved on this space. The paintings you got in the back of your studio, this is culture, this is art. And now the renaissance for art, for example, is digital art. And now we have blockchain technology enabling provenance, enabling the new creator economy, enabling every time a piece of art is sold, the actual creator is benefiting from that, because there is a royalty fee that can be paid by the people that are purchasing it, and that revenue is going directly to the artist. So it's one of the very first times in history where artists are actually making money with their work while they're still alive, right? So if you look back in the past, majority of the greatest artists we know, they died broke because they couldn't monetize their work. And now this is possible. And I'm talking about art. And then you can talk about music. And then you can talk about creator economy. You can talk about content. You can talk about different ways on how this new technology now is impacting and revolutionizing the way culture exists digitally. Because NFTs are nothing else than a way to prove digitally that you own something on the blockchain. That can be a digital product or that can be a physical product. But that NFT, that thing, proves that ownership, right? And shows what it's coming from, authenticity, provenance, and all of that. So it's exciting to look into that. And going back to your point, that's what all those major companies and tech companies are seeing, because the trend's is not slowing down, it's rather accelerating.
So we were at the same event in Cannes Lions watching Mark, pronounce his last name.
Well, I'm not French, but I'll say Mathieu.
Yes.
He's co-founder of the Web3 Studio, and that's how I end up working with them.
Let's talk about your relationship with them in terms of creating a Web3 studio for a CRM. What? Connect these dots. Let's make sense of it.
Obviously, Salesforce is a technology company. And what I brought to the table from my perspective is more sort of like the marketing, branding, and strategy that I've been doing the last 8 years on the Web2 world as a consultant. They brought me in Feb this year to help them shaping the Web3 studio, not like as a team, but sort of like a vertical and a horizontal approach. A vertical is kind of like, how do they go to market now? How do they communicate now? The sort of like new space where they are entering, and the product that they're building, which is NFT Cloud, that is out. And if you go to Google and type NFT Cloud Salesforce, you'll find a landing page that describes all of it. And the second thing was, working with the brands that they want to pilot and start utilizing that tool with.
So correct me if I'm wrong. SaaS providers and different technology solutions want to keep their clients in their ecosystem. So now you have brands and you're servicing them in one capacity. And so a brand is saying, well, you know what? I want to explore Web3. The tech solution, in this case, Salesforce, is saying, well, we can help you with that. You don't want your client to leave and go somewhere else and have another service provider. So you want to become fuller and fuller and fuller service. So that's kind of why I think it makes sense for them to build out a whole business model that services their clients in ways that their clients want to be serviced. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I think that more than just necessarily a complementary product offering or a new cloud system that comes on top of CRM and e-commerce, what everyone in this industry now is looking at is this is the evolution of the internet. This is how we move from Web 2 to Web 3, and how do we position ourselves in a space where everything else that comes from now to the future is going to be built on top of it. It's going to be blockchain, it's going to be cryptocurrency, it's going to be, you know, ownership and everything that comes with it. So how do you position yourself as a tech company that provides the backend solution for majority of Fortune 500 companies out there to be in a position where whenever they want to enter the space, you're going to facilitate and, you know, sort of like break the tech barrier, which is huge within the space, to make it easier for them to be safer, sustainable, and support their clients on however they want to do.
So it would be the same reason why Deloitte and Accenture have built out what they call design studios that hold their existing client's hand as they explore and join the evolution of the internet. This is not something we normally would have seen come, you know, whatever, 10, 15 years ago. The bigger companies would have just sort of stayed and said, let me wait and see how this plays out. You know, if our clients want to explore some newfangled thing, like, go ahead, have at it. So the seriousness and the importance of this is punctuated by the fact that these large service companies have said, we're going to invest in servicing our customers. We want to keep them, not lose these dollars, and provide a holistic solution. So we're going to first educate ourselves. We're going to build out teams. They worked with you, for example, to help them build out. This is not inherent to their model.
Yep.
It's not an add-on. It's
a transformation.
It's the next thing. It's a flow.
Yeah.
And the word evolution is perfect.
The key factor here is looking at Web 2 was built on top of Web 1. It didn't replace it. It evolved. And Web 3 is built on top of Web 2. It won't replace. It's going to be an evolution from there. And I know that sounds obvious, but within the space, especially if you're deep into like tech and Web3 and NFT Twitter and crypto Twitter and all of that, a lot of times it feels that we want to burn out everything from Web 2 and start Web 3 from scratch, which what's going to happen is an evolution. It has to, and it will be. And that's why those companies are already positioning themselves, because maybe they were late or didn't exist when the internet went mainstream, or maybe they didn't really fully understood social when it first happened, and now they don't want to miss out because they understand consumer trends. Now they are more data driven, they have more access to information, and they realize the size of what we're talking. So it becomes really exciting, right?
I want to applaud you for not using the word community 52 times. I created a drinking game that every time someone in the Web3 space that I speak to or hear or whatever, watch on a webinar says community, you have to take a shot. We don't make it to the end of the conversation, we're wasted. It's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Just since you're there, let me say something as well, because I fully agree with you. The funny thing is that everybody right now is building community and is in it because of the community. But every time you go down and understand what community means to them, especially for brands, it means a new revenue stream. But if you look into community as its core, communities are created and get together because they care about something. They are connected because of a cause. They're connected because they love and are passionate about something. And that's the deep connection that, you know, exists between them. You know, they don't necessarily get together because they care about money or because of whatever. And as soon as you start monetizing and going too deep into selling, people sense check and they bounce. So all these community conversations we are having right now is interesting, because oftentimes community stands for new revenue streams and monetization. And as soon as you do that, there is no community anymore. There's customers again. And then we go back to Web 2.
What you've done is you've switched the narrative from community, which has lost its value from a narrative standpoint, and you're referring to it as culture. The real meaning is community is about care and cause, and that therefore should be spoken about as culture. But monetization is important, and we can talk about that and come back to that.
I'm not against it. That's why we're in business for, but it shouldn't be the primary KPI. When you're talking about let's enter the Web3 space, what is your first KPI? Let's make money. Well, you are in mid-90s right now trying to make money with the internet instead of trying to build business models and a new model on how you can gather people around, collaborate and co-create. And, you know, we are in 2022 and we don't know what the internet is yet. So take it easy on how you want to look into those business models. There's nothing wrong about it, but it shouldn't be the primary motive or why you're doing what you're doing.
I agree. And I think social media started that way. And unfortunately now it's such a mega monetization animal that
So
it's hard to, people like points of reference. Well, social media makes money, so this should make money, right? This Google CEO stood up at the Code conference and spoke about the threat of TikTok. Now, TikTok is monetizing and adding ads, etc. But the truth is their main priority is just screen time and building like groups of people who gather around different narratives. Maybe that's a little bit of a reference point going forward. Part of the issue with NFTs for the broader populace is the name right away is like, what? The initials, then when you're like, oh, but it stands for non-fungible token. Like, what?
but it's in the blockchain.
In charge of right.
What the fuck is the blockchain? I don't know.
And then you have to mint it. Fashion and streetwear have led in this space because they're much of the time their product, a lot of their top editorial product pieces are art.
I think that the main problem with the current state we are at, and I talk brands because that's my corner, is that the fallback situation or the fallback plan when you don't know what to do is to put product on the foreground, right? I see that. I work with the automotive industry and it happens all the time, right? So we're going to build a metaverse experience for, people get together and experience our brand. What are we going to do? A car dealership. How is it going to look like? Exactly like in the real world. And what can we do there? Enter the car and probably test drive it. And I'm like,
no.
Why don't you do that in the real world then? Oh, no, because we can do that in the metaverse now. But if the metaverse is unlimited when it comes to, limitations, because you don't have law of physics in the metaverse, why would you do what is possible in the real world? You do that in the real world because you have law of physics. A car cannot fly yet, or your shoe cannot be a dragon; it has to be a shoe because you have limitations. But in the metaverse, the only limitation you have is creativity. But because we are not used anymore, especially marketeers and people that are working with the brand, to be allowed to be creative, because the last 20 years is all about growth marketing and metrics and analytics and how you sell and how you convert. We became machines and we aren't creative anymore.
Did you see the article that Deloitte wrote with Cannes Lions about the lack of creativity? Because you touched right into it, which is in a world where metrics is driving marketing, we've lost creativity.
So when we go into a new meeting like this, we're like, okay, we don't really know how this thing works. So let's put the product in the foreground. And then you go into that space of, the product is the story and the product isn't the story.
When you have something actually physical, like, okay, I'm Procter & Gamble, why doesn't that get the narrative in this space outside of a very amazing top line Gucci piece?
I give you a very, very exciting example. It's my favorite example. Nobody talks about it, right? So let's talk. You talk about P&G, and I'm gonna talk Unilever. Unilever has a brand called Close Up. What do? They do toothpaste. People are coming to me like, oh, I wish I would be Gucci. I wish I would be Adidas. I wish I would be Nike, because it's so easy for them to tell a story because their product is so cool. Close Up is a toothpaste. Okay? So what they've done is they did a metaverse activation within the Decentraland, where they created a space for people to celebrate love. And they invited people from all over the world that in certain countries where, marrying people from the same gender isn't allowed, they open space, because in the metaverse, there's no rules, there's no laws. Everybody can do whatever they want because it's the metaverse. So they brought people from those places, man, woman, man, whatever it's going to be, from all types of genders that just love each other no matter what. And they created a ceremony where they could get married in the metaverse. And the NFT was a certificate of marriage to prove that you were married virtually in the metaverse. And what Close Up stands for as a brand is love, inclusion, diversity, union. And they stood there under that message, doing an amazing statement without using the product. And that's when you see people that are actually still creative and able to do creative things, how they use those medias to tell stories. how they use those medias to impact people, through their feelings and through emotions, and to make a statement that's extremely important in culture right now. So to your point, for me, this whole conversation around product, it comes down to lack of creativity. It comes down to not being bold enough. It comes down not thinking beyond the limitations that every single corporation out there has put themselves into, that we need to grow, we need to drive revenue, and now we have a medium that we can tell a lot of stories, and that's the most powerful thing to do.
What you're talking about is how advertising was built, which is, what is the emotion? What doesn't drive sales? What doesn't move the needle? What moves people?
Yeah.
We're no longer holding up the work against what moves people.
Yeah.
And understanding that if you do that, then it leads to this, which leads to that, which leads to this, which leads to sales. Business is not willing to go on the journey anymore. They just want this. Do you agree with that?
100%. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's why growth market became the description on every marketing job you found in the market. And that's why
exactly
I fed up with Web 2 and Web 3, because I don't want to be part of this thing. Let's go there and talk to the people that are dreaming, that are pushing the future, that are pushing the boundaries. Maybe there's some more exciting things to do in life than sell toothpaste, right? Let's tell stories.
I know close-up toothpaste. The commercials back in the day, I don't know if you know, it's close-up. Their whole name, their whole premise is brush your teeth, have a fresh mouth, so you can be close up with someone kissing them, right? So for them to then tie that back to an expression of love is incredible.
Yeah.
And to now be at the point where this can be in the metaverse, that took a long time. That's 30 plus years to connect the dots back to their actual brand name.
Yeah.
And we can have so much more of that. And I'm on that page with you. And it's a great way to communicate to the middle of that curve why it matters, why this immersive metaverse matters, right?
Yeah. And if you want to go back a little bit too, when you're talking about IP, there's another thing that is incredible to think, especially where we are right now, and we're gonna rewind 5 years from now to this moment, and we're gonna be like, fuck, we were early. Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? One of the first brands in history that has been built to a tremendous valuation without any cent of marketing spent. They haven't run an ad. They haven't done anything for marketing. What have they done that we can reverse engineer and understand why they're so successful? So they created a collection of 10,000 NFTs. The brand sits at the top, is the holy grail. Nobody touches it, trademarked. But under it, you have 10,000 NFTs that, as an owner, you have IP rights over. So you can do whatever you want, unless you touch that brand. But if you don't, shape as you wish. People started doing beer companies, people start doing coffee companies, people start opening fast food restaurants, people start doing merch, people start gathering together because they felt part of something that they are creating together. And when you're creating together with the brand, in this case, there's sense of belonging. And if there's sense of belonging, you want to stick around. You will become an ambassador. You talk to everyone. I'm part of this thing. I'm building this thing. How exciting is that, right? And now if you look on the hard number, because we are marketeers and obviously we need to drive revenue and all of that, and companies want to grow. Do you know how much Disney paid for the Star Wars franchise when they bought it?
No.
They paid $4 billion. $4 billion, right? That was the price. Now, Star Wars is the most iconic franchise in history. There's nothing like it, right? Drives product like crazy, tells incredible stories since ever. One of the best creations in the entertainment industry ever. Now, Bored Ape has raised capital. A project that's 1 year old, one and a couple months old, has raised capital at a $4 billion valuation. And I'm not talking about like, oh, some crazy speculators went there and invested in it. I'm talking about A16Z. I'm talking about Google. I'm talking about Adidas. I'm talking about the biggest funds and companies in the world went there and actually put money down at a 4 billion valuation. Why? Because they understood that those guys get how to build community. Those guys get how to tell stories. And the model that they reinvented now on how you sort of like co-create and shape the future together, they aren't telling the holders what they should be doing. They allow them to come and build the narrative with them. And that's extremely powerful. And that's where we are at. So, if you think from a brand perspective, the brand's moving from, or should be moving, if you're having the finger on the pulse in culture, especially within the space, the brand should be moving from that holy grail, untouchable. And if someone does something with it, we sue them, we take it down, and it's like trademark, to more of a collaborative environment. If you follow fashion closely, the last 5 years been all about collaboration. Adidas and Prada just did an amazing collaboration. How would you ever think about it? Adidas and Gucci did the same. And then you have Kanye, and then have Beyonce, and have Pharrell, and you have all those major communities, to use the word, that are coming together and partnership and collaborating and co-creating. The next step is going to be with the actual community. The next step is going to be with the people that care about it. So my dream is to see a brand coming out and saying, listen, we'll have this iconic silhouette that we've been building for the last 50 years. And we've done that and put in front of you, and we understood culture and make it successful. And now we're going to put this in a DAO, and we're going to allow people to enter this space. In the next 50 years, we're going to co-create with you. You co-create a future with us. And that's when we move from Web 2, where there's consumers passively consuming whatever we shove through their throats, to Web 3, where we have collaboration, where we have co-creation, where we have co-ownership. Because one, the technology enables that, but two, the moment in culture is right for us to do it. Bored Ape has proven it. It's not Diego talking.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. Like it or not, when people think metaverse or NFT in the larger landscape, their minds immediately go to Roblox. What are your thoughts on that? Is that okay?
Roblox is gaming.
Okay, but a lot of brands say, we're in the metaverse now, we're on Roblox.
They're full of shit. Roblox is gaming. It's a gaming platform. Roblox is gaming. It's a gaming platform. Tell a gamer that plays Roblox that that's the metaverse. They're going to laugh at you. Roblox is gaming. Fortnite's gaming.
Okay, interesting.
Minecraft is gaming.
But I'm not telling you this for the first time. You've seen brands announce they're in the metaverse.
Of course.
In Roblox. You've seen this.
Because they are doing PR stunts. They need to do something to then count the clicks and the media spend that could potentially come out of impression, which is the most bullshit term in marketing ever, which everybody's measuring against. Impressions. Oh, we have 1 billion impressions. That's amazing. It's impression. People saw an ad or an article. Cool. Not maybe they didn't care. This is a gaming platform. We need to differentiate that. As Meta is trying to push that the metaverse is VR, those brands are trying to push that gaming is the metaverse, and it's not. The metaverse is a place where it changes the way how we connect as humans digitally. That's what the metaverse is. It's an evolution.
Wow. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I'm a chief CMO, CEO. I'm sitting in the boardroom and I'm like, we're going to do metaverse, guys. That's it. Start interviewing people. And a supplier, vendor, whatever you want to call them, comes in and goes, we do this all the time. We've done this for other brands. We did it for this one. We did it for that one. We use Roblox. At that point, do I go, get out?
Hang up.
Because you're not taking me to the actual metaverse.
No, you aren't. You were.
You know that people
don't understand. You don't understand where things are headed, but you still need to position yourself as a metaverse expert or a metaverse whatever, and you need to sell something now because now there's a new money to grab. And then you go back to some gaming exercise and pitch you've done that weren't successful. You change the title from gaming to metaverse, and you put in front of people, and they're going to be like, yes, that's great. That's the metaverse. And that's what's happening. That's what all agencies are doing. I'm seeing that left and right when I work with brands. And I'm warning them. I'm like, do you really want to do a gaming activation, or do you want to do a metaverse activation? And there's a difference. I mean, if you go inside the Decentraland, does the Decentraland position themselves as a gaming brand? Do you go there to play game, or you go there to a social hub where you can hang out and connect with people and maybe attend an event and stuff like that? Different. Sandbox is not positioned themselves as a gaming company either, right? They are building towards a metaverse. That yes, you can play games within Sandbox, but you can do a lot of different things. Meta is not a gaming company. They're building a metaverse company. They're building a social hub. They're building the evolution of social media platforms where we go from static or video feed pictures to a place where you can get and connect and walk around, and it's 3D and you can fly and you can do all of that. Can you play game within these platforms? Probably yes. Can you have a concert within this platform? Probably yes. Can you work within this platform? Probably yes. Can you hang out? Can you meet up? Can you, create different things? Probably yes. Is that a gaming platform? No, that's the metaverse. The metaverse is the term, right? It's like the internet, the metaverse. And then you have different platforms. You will have gaming platforms within the metaverse, but you cannot steal gaming platforms and now rebrand them as the metaverse just because it suits your agenda.
Wow. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
That's my take.
Well, can you call the game, can you refer to it as Web3 and just sort of be like, wink, wink, it's not metaverse, but it's Web3?
Unless it's on blockchain, you can't. Because what is Web3? Web3 is an evolution of Web2, right? And the difference of Web3 and Web2 is that Web3 is built on the blockchain technology. That's the backbone.
Got it.
And if a metaverse is not on the blockchain, then how can you call it Web3?
So
you don't even need to go on the centralized, and hybrid model, because there's very open to interpretation. But let's keep it as simple as is this built on the blockchain, yes or no? And if it is, then it's Web2. Very simple.
Can we call Roblox, brands on Roblox, Web 2.5?
Oh, you can if you want to, but I mean, you can do anything, right?
True. And I do, but that's not what this is about. So, okay, you're advising brands and they're like, we want to be in metaverse. And let's say, can you do both? Like, why can't you do both? Like, you have customers that want to be on Roblox in a gamification experience with the brand while you build out your metaverse blockchain experience, right?
Totally.
It's not the other.
Unilever has been doing that for years now. Unilever does an amazing job on integrating, gaming platforms and being in the gaming space, and they call it gaming. And now when they did what I said before in the Decentraland, then they call it a metaverse experience. And that's the difference. People didn't went there to play a game. They went there to get married. They went there to, bound together and have that experience, which is way different than gaming. And we also have to respect the gaming community. We have to respect the gaming industry. We have to respect the agencies and companies that have been working really hard to find ways to connect with the gaming community. And we aren't right now. We are packing on the same thing just because we want to talk big numbers. We are at the beginning of this whole metaverse thing when it comes to adoption. Decentraland has 300,000 users, monthly active users, 300,000. We're 7 billion people in this planet.
Yeah.
We are the beginning. And no, but listen, Roblox has, 200 million users. Yeah, but that's a gaming platform. GTA as well has a crazy million amount of people playing GTA, but that's a gaming platform. It's not a metaverse. So that's the difference. I think that people are just trying to steer the agenda to make it sound big, to make it sound, oh, everybody's in the metaverse. No, people aren't there yet. They will be, but they aren't there yet. You need to, again, have a finger on the pulse and go and talk to the people that are actually there and ask, what are they doing? Nobody, no kid playing on any of those games going to tell that they're in the metaverse. I swear to you, because I've asked.
I agree. Diego, we could do this for hours. You're a pleasure. Your point of view is exactly what is needed for the industry, for me, and for the messaging to people who are super confused. And also, wow, a lot of clarification on what is and isn't metaverse. And so from a business and commerce standpoint, kind of the big picture, the big idea. I miss you already.
Thank you. Really appreciate you. I've done
Thanks.
over probably 50 podcasts now, and I really appreciate how refreshing this was. Because usually I get asked the same questions and I have to answer the same things because people just want to know the same thing. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm
Thanks for
glad.
that.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.